Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well and enjoying summertime if you live somewhere where it's quite warm right now. I am super enjoying this bright weather around here. So today we will talk about Zygopetalum orchids, and also I'm going to be reporting this big Zygopetalum here. I do have this Zygopetalum in my collection for more than 4 years. This is my Zygopetalum Rosy Blue. That's a complex hybrid, and it was gifted to me by my brother-in-law. The thing is, this orchid is super healthy. It has been growing super well. It blooms multiple times a year. As you have seen these in my what's flowering inside my indoor garden. It's a beautiful plant that pushes out these purple flowers. It is a super easy Zygopetalum to grow because it doesn't require super bright light to be able to bloom and rebloom. And also it has been healthy since I acquired that many years ago. However, for the first time since I bought this orchid, and it might be my fault, it started to decline. I noticed not now, maybe, a few weeks ago, that was losing its leaves, and that part of the old growths are completely gone. It's not growing as healthier as it was doing before. So some signs that this plant is struggling is I have smaller growths, it lost ton of leaves, and when I look to the root system on top of my mix, the roots are growing out of the pot, and because it's very dry out of the pot, they are stopping to grow and they don't grow inside the potting mix anymore. What I think it happened, this mix is very old. I've never repotted this orchid. It has been sitting here for 4 years, which is a long time. So if you don't have experience with plants, and especially with orchids, we need to repot them, especially if they are potted in organic mix, because the mix will get old, can get spoiled, so even the pH can change. So for this reason, I need to repot this plant. Just a caveat here, I look very tired. I didn't have time to look a little bit better for you, but maybe in 1 week time, I will try. I will make an effort if I have time, and you will look at me with a better face. So anyway, that's the situation of my Zygopetalum. I hope you can see what is happening here. I have some new growths there. They're sprouting from the sides, but the roots are all growing outside. So I need to fix it. I need to remove it from this pot. I need to check the root system, and we need to start to repot it. Another thing that's affecting my Zygopetalum is, you probably see in the footage, I do have some grazings caused by spider mite. I sprayed a ton of neem oil 2 weeks ago, so hopefully it is a little bit better now, but it is an ongoing infection that I'm still treating. So if you're repotting your plants as well, grab your tray. I grab mine. I grab some bark and sphagnum moss, and let's start repotting this big plant. Yeah, it is a big plant. Let's start to remove it from here. It used to be much larger than this. I did lost few bits of the plant, so anyway, there is nothing that I can do about it. The first thing that I have to do here is just to squeeze the pot to make sure that all the roots will detach from the potting mix, or at least the roots that are attached to the pot itself. I need to make sure they are loose. This plant is potted in soil, very different from most of my orchids. I don't pot a ton of orchids in soil. I think you probably can see how healthy this plant was growing. I'm happy to see that it pushed out a ton of roots while it was growing inside this mix. So I have here soil with an extra layer of bark on top and some perlite as well. And this was enough for this plant to grow, to keep growing for 4 years non-stop and blooming non-stop as well. This was definitely one of the easier orchids that I had in my collection for a long time. So I cannot complain that it's doing not amazingly well now. And this is also partly my fault, because it is sitting here for a long time. The first thing that you have to do when you're repotting your Zygopetalum is to remove all the old mix from the root system. So you have to be careful not to disrupt the roots a lot. What I usually try to do is I will go to the back part of my orchid and I'll start here. Or in this case, there are many directions of growth, but I have like some older growths that will not grow for me anymore. So I am safe to remove these growths. And all the roots that come from these growths, they are all dead as well. This is an orchid that push out many roots, but there are some live roots in the middle of this bowl. So soil has something that is not very positive, that it is very dark. So it's difficult to see all the roots and to see what all the roots are doing here in this massive bowl. But you have to be really gentle, really gentle, and start removing bit by bit of the mix that is attached to your orchid. So hopefully we will not lose all of them. We will not break the live roots, because these ones are the most important ones. What I can do here is start to cut everything that's dead. So for example, this one is a brown root. Can you see here? Dark. So this one is something that I need to remove. And I'll wait for you to check with Zygopetalums, very similarly to other orchids. It's good if you can check all the roots that are mushy. These ones we have to remove from our orchid. I can see that I have mushy roots coming out of my orchid. There are some little parts that are coming from everywhere. So these parts that are just hanging here, while I remove the soil, I start to remove them as well. Let's keep doing this until I have all the potting mix completely gone. This is a big plant that it has been growing a lot, and it was massive before it lost all of these leaves caused by pests, and also the fact that I didn't repot for a long time. So I think it was a combination. The roots that are in the middle of the bowl are the least healthier roots, so let's keep removing that. What I will do is I will clean this whole root bowl little by little, just removing all the soil that I have here. Actually, it does detach quite easily. It's different from bark beads, so if your orchid came potted in bark, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because bark beads tend to get attached to the root system, so you have to be very careful to remove the bark chips. Maybe you should soak your orchid for a little bit, like maybe 15 minutes, to make sure that most of the bark beads will detach easily from the root system, so you won't break roots in the process. Usually Zygopetalum, they do have like thicker roots if compared to Oncidiums, but they are very thirsty plants, and some of them are semi-terrestrial or terrestrial, so you can pot them in a variety of different mix. I do have a care tutorial about Zygopetalum that was one of my first videos. I will link it down below. This one I'm focusing only on the repotting itself. I will keep looking to the root system. When I finish removing the soil, I'm going to the sink. So just to remove the excess of soil, it will help me to investigate the root system. So let me clean these here, and I will come back in a second. Ta-da! Here we are. It's much easier now for me to see, for you to see what's going on with these orchids. So let's start. So I will remove some of the older growths that are not doing anything for me or my orchid. Like this is a good example. Everything that was related to this growth is gone, so I can safely remove. So let's see if I have others. If I do, show you while I am removing everything that's dead. How I know that these orchids here are dead? Like other orchids, if they are mushy, like development is coming out. I think this one is alive, but it will go as well because I broke it. My fault, sorry, little zygo. I think there are a ton of roots that were broken in the process, which will be fine. I have to be very gentle here and start to inspect the whole root system to see what's going on. So there are some sections that are dead as well. And then there are orchids and there are roots that are completely alive. So don't worry. We will get there. So the idea here is to inspect the roots one by one, checking everything that's going on with the orchid system. I will keep doing it, looking for everything that's mushy, that doesn't look healthy anymore, and I will continue just cutting all the bits and bobs that I see on the way that I know that can be safely removed from my orchid. I will try to save as many roots as possible because I don't want my orchid to go in shock, with everything that's going on. When we repot new orchids, or even when we repot all our old orchids, some of them can struggle with the new potting mix, with the new environment, or even with the repotting process. So for this reason, especially if you don't have much experience, it's very advisable that you are really careful with the root system of your orchid when you are repotting. So more roots we have, easier it is for us to save our plant. For this reason, I'm being very, very careful here to see if I can save a good number of roots. So my orchid will have greater chance to bounce back, healthier than it was before, especially because it has been battling an infestation of pests as well. That definitely affects the immune system, or not immune system, but the immune cells, the cells that protect the plant against disease. So I noticed that when we have pests, they become a little bit weaker. It's normal because their energy is also focusing on surviving the infestation of insects that are attacking them. My plant is already dealing with a lot. It's already struggling because it was not growing inside the pot. It lost a ton of roots, a ton of growths. So now is my turn to make sure everything is doing well here. I will keep removing everything that I see that are not doing well, and I will come to you when I'm done, when we will start the repotting. After cleaning up the root system, here I am with my other tray full of moss and bark, and I'm down potting a bit because the other pot was too large and I want to save some space. Since I lost so many roots on the process, that's what I will try to do. So in the end, I end up with 2 divisions because I removed some of the older growths. So what I want to do here is, first of all, see if it will fit. It will. And I need to make sure that all the new growths are in contact with the mix, because I need the new roots to be hydrated. So mostly of the mix that I'm going to use here is moss. This plant was used to soil before, so I can aerate the moss a little bit, but I don't want to add a lot of bark. My Zygopetalums, they do very well with moss. That's my experience. And this one did well with soil as well, but I will try moss this time. Hopefully I'll have the same result. So I will keep now adding all of my sphagnum moss here around the pot. As I said, the reason why I can use moss here, even so I live in a country that's not extremely hot, is because Zygopetalums, some of them can be epiphytes, but most of them will grow in moss, soil. Their roots will grow in something that has a bit of air, but also it has a bit of compost to it as well, which makes these roots very sensitive to the lack of humidity. They need a ton of water to be able to grow. They hate to be completely dry. What I notice is my Zygopetalums, they enjoy their humidity, so when they are approaching dryness, I tend to offer them some water. And every time that I forget to water them in time, the pseudobulbs will become a little bit wrinkled and they don't enjoy it very much. For this reason, I am here adding a ton of moss. I will also add a slow release fertilizer. Here we go. So this plant is a big plant. It grows a lot, so I can add some beets. So I love when I repot only with moss. Moss is very easy to use. I center my plant. Very important that you make your plants stable inside the pot, because if the plant keeps moving or falling out of the pot, you can disturb the root system even more, and the root system is already very sensitive with the whole process. So ideally we have to make sure that these roots, not only they are touching the mix, but also they are stable, so they are not being disturbed. Otherwise we can break the root tips, and we don't want to break the root tips. The root tips has to grow here inside this mix so they can grow healthily, and hopefully this pot will last at least a year. I don't think it will last much more than that, but I will try for now. Let's see what happens. Since this plant was suffering a bit, I decided to try a smaller pot. If it grows so fast and I have no more space, I have to unpot and repot it. But for now, it will do. That's my final result. What I will have to do now, that my plant is finally all repotted, is to offer it a good watering, because the potting mix is completely dry, and I need to add some watering to keep the mix hydrated, in order for the roots that are alive in here to keep feeding my plant and making sure that my leaves and the pseudobulbs are also hydrated. So I will do that, and I will come back to conclude the video. That's it. That's my Zygopetalum fully repotted in its new pot. The next thing that you have to do when you finish repotting your Zygopetalum is to offer it some intermediate light, somewhere where it's bright, but also where you don't have strong light that will burn the leaves of your orchid. Otherwise, this one will get even more stressed. In my case, I will place it under my growing lights, where this plant has been growing for the last years. Meanwhile, don't keep watering it every time you notice that the mix is getting dry. It's approaching dryness. Offer some watering, especially now that this plant is still adapting to the new environment. It's really important that we don't stress it out even more. You should notice in the following weeks maybe some new growths sprouting, or in my case I have some new growths that are starting to grow here. This one will probably push out roots inside the potting mix, and these new roots are the roots that will last longer and will be able to feed and hydrate my Zygopetalum. So that was everything that I want to show you today. I hope you have enjoyed this Zygopetalum repotting. Let me know if there's other orchids that you would like to see here and would like me to repot as well. I hope you enjoy this type of content. If you do, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye!